Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen, and joined by my podcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw, who played for many years with the New York Rangers and Los Angeles Kings. And this is the Laidlaw and Allen Report. And finally, Tom, we have hockey to discuss.
Wow.
And I want to start with your assessment about the job that the NHL and the NHL Players Association did with setting up, this bubble-like playoff existence.
Well, it's interesting, right? We get to watch baseball, what they're going through. They don't have a bubble set up, and players getting positive tests and games getting canceled. We had with the Mets, Yoenis Cespedes yesterday just decided not to show up anymore and opted out of the season. So they got quite a mess going on there. The NHL has just been, to this point, it's been flawless, I think. Like even the in-game presentation, I was kind of concerned, like how's it going to be with no fans in the stands, the noise factor. But I just think they've done just enough noise that you kind of almost, like I'm watching the game sometimes, that you're almost forgetting that there's no fans in the stands. It seems pretty natural. The players are fantastic. I got to tell you, to be off as long as they were, and I think in most cases really didn't have a place to train up until maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, other than their own facilities that they had. Looked to be in fantastic shape. Some of the games we had, like I thought Chicago was outstanding against Edmonton. Philly played great against Boston in somewhat of a meaningless game. Carolina looked fantastic against the Rangers. There's a lot of good hockey out there, a lot of physical hockey. It's been fantastic so far.
Yeah, I mean, we're really watching baseball disintegrate. It's really been sad, and it really goes to show you why you have to have a bubble.
Yeah.
There's already talk this morning I've seen on television with discussion that it's not out of the realm of possibility that baseball will be rethinking what they're going to be doing moving forward and coming up with a plan after a plan.
Yep.
Everything about this has worked out, and the fact there's been zero positive tests, I mean, really sort of, again, brings home why you need a bubble, because it doesn't take much. You get out in the real world and you go out for something to eat. And when you're on the road, the tendency is to want to do that. Look, it's no fun eating in your hotel room every night, no companionship and just, eating just for the sake of eating. I'm not going to let you off the hook on the Cespedes comment.
Okay.
The tone of your comment there was very negative about him deciding to go home. So you do not approve of players getting there and deciding that it's too scary for me.
Well, you look at this player's history. They were saying today he's played 4 or 5 seasons with the Mets. He's never been able to finish the season yet. He had some wild boar. He was chasing a wild boar this off season and stepped in a hole and broke his ankle or something like that, his ankle or whatever. It's just the history of this player. I mean, if it was Mike Trout and being professional that he is, he all of a sudden decided to go home and cited family reasons or whatever, and Cespedes did the same thing, then you would say, okay, I respect that. But with Cespedes and the way he did it, he didn't even contact the team. He wasn't at the facility when they went for the game. They couldn't find him. They sent a security detail to his hotel. He wasn't there. Finally, his agent called and said that he decided to opt out. So is he legitimately concerned about the COVID-19 and how it may affect him or his family? If that's the case, totally, I understand it. But the way he handled himself in this case, and the way he's handled himself throughout his career, especially here in New York, has not been very professional.
So what you're saying is, and I don't know any player that could be in the bubble right now and think that isn't the safest possible way to play sports. But suppose any NHL player decided right now, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm going to go home. You okay with that then?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I would say, well, geez, all of a sudden you're scared, but I get it. And especially when you see, I know what they say that most cases, especially with young people, if they do test positive, there's no symptoms even, and there's no problems moving forward. But there's also these guys that have problems that, like, I can't remember what sport it was, but it was baseball, where somebody's had some heart issues after being tested positive and having some symptoms. So it's not necessarily that it just goes away and that's it. There is the chance that there's some lingering effects too. So yeah, I don't have a problem if guys decide to go home. I don't have. What is it in football? They said there's 40 guys already in the National Football League that decided to opt out. So
Yeah, well, you and I have talked about this before too. About they're now finding that there can be some lasting and impact of the virus that you don't count on. And Eduardo Rodriguez of the Boston Red Sox
Yep.
has had heart issues
Yep.
as a result of that, and I think he's going to make a full recovery. But he's had to deal with this, and he's not going to be able to play this season. And I've heard just horrible stories from somebody I know about permanent damage to the lungs, and
Yeah.
you can imagine. Now this man is was a little bit older, but you can imagine if that was true of an athlete if you had permanent lung issues. So there certainly are some concerns, and even some of the athletes who have gotten it have had a hard time. But the vast majority, get through this, as you said, either without symptoms or with very minor
Yep.
symptoms. But let's talk about the hockey. I'm just so excited about what we saw there, and right out of the gate, the Rangers in Carolina, we saw a real physical game.
Yeah.
Big hit, and that game didn't go the way you thought it was going to go, but also the goaltending was not because of an injury. We had Lundqvist, and although he did not lose that game, I thought Carolina really outplayed the Rangers the entire game.
Yeah, they did. I had underestimated Carolina. Like Carolina, a little Lecco there, Kurt?
For me?
No. Is the Lecco what you're in?
No, I don't hear an echo. Do you hear an echo?
No, that's fine. I underestimated Carolina. I did not realize, and they didn't have Dougie Hamilton, nor did they have, is it Pesce? Is that the other defense?
Yeah.
Didn't have two of their, I think two of their top defensemen weren't in the game either. And man, they played well. They played well defensively. They played hard. They played physical hockey. Justin Williams getting in a fight against Strome right off the bat. I think really showed, I thought for me, it was like there really wasn't much going on there when you see that play. I think it was more him just trying to show his team and the Rangers that they're there to win the hockey game. Brady Shea, who is not really a big hitter. Actually, I was kind of surprised that more people aren't questioning that hit on Foss. Foss is now out. It appears to be a concussion, because I thought that was a head hit, but apparently the league didn't think so. There's nothing on it, but big hit by him early in the game. But you're right. If anything, I kind of wonder if psychologically, I assume that like everybody else really felt like that Shesterkin was going to start in net. And you're right. Lundqvist did not lose the game for him. He played fine. I just wonder if psychologically the team was thinking, okay, they had really gotten comfortable with Shesterkin. He played the bulk of the games in the last part of the season there, and that's when the Rangers were playing the best hockey. I just wonder if at all they were just assuming it was going to be him, and then all of a sudden Henrik was thrown in there, and they were kind of thrown off a little bit. I have seen that happen, but again, they can't use that as an excuse. The Canes were good though, man. I had underestimated how good of a hockey team they were. I would think that the Rangers here, when we got less than 2 hours and playing again, the Rangers are going to play better this game. The question is Carolina got more in the tank there too? And again, I don't know the status of those two defensemen for them. If they come back, that means they're even stronger, or should be even stronger too. But that was good hockey.
Do you? What's the buzz in New York? Is Shesterkin? Is there a chance he's going to play today?
Everybody's waiting to find out. It's that is the big question. It's kind of mysterious. I saw one theory getting thrown out there that they wonder whether he's hurt or not. That it was a little bit of a conspiracy theory to get Lundqvist in the net. I don't know how true that is, but again, Shesterkin had played fine in the preseason game against the Islanders. Apparently, he was practicing fine. It wasn't until the night before the game that they found out that he was not fit to play. It was funny though too, and I've got to give you credit, or maybe it's that everybody else is as messed up as you. I don't know, but this unfit to play status really gets people going a little bit because it's just so wide open. It's got that connotation.
Oh, yeah, it's just everybody. That's such a negative. So I still don't like it.
Yeah.
And
I have heard a lot of comments about it too.
Yeah. I mean, it makes certainly makes some some sense. I'll tell you who I'm going to call out though.
Okay.
And I'm really looking forward to game 2 today. I'm looking for Artemi Panarin to be the player he was at the end of last season, because to me that was going to be one of the difference in this series. I thought, well, Carolina has very good players, but they don't have an MVP candidate. They don't have a guy was as dominant as Panarin was this season.
And they don't have, and really the Rangers have two of them, and Zibanejad too. Now, he wasn't.
They did. Although I would say that what we saw is Teravainen and Aho saying,
Yeah.
we can play with those big boys.
No question.
But anyway, up until late in the game, Panarin was invisible. He just that layoff, wasn't able to sustain it coming back. Now, he's Panarin, so he should be good today. But game 2 when you're down 0-1, you got to win this game.
Well, and I think the world of Chris Kreider's hockey game too. I think he's a great player, but he really didn't do a whole lot either. So when you've got Panarin, Zibanejad was probably a little bit better, and Kreider, like arguably your 3 best forwards, really not getting a lot done. And again, I really think you got to give the Canes a lot of credit, but I would think with this group and the way Coach Quinn coaches this team, you're going to see them come out really hard. The question is going to be with the Rangers. I mean, you got to be careful to not come out too hard, right? Take bad penalties or anything. They want to come out physical. They want to play their game. But they'll be a lot better than they were in game 1. But again, I get really, like I said, I really underestimated the Canes and how well they could play. I guess in the past few years here, the Rangers have really dominated the Canes, and I just thought, well, that's just the way it's going to be. But they're good.
Well, I think what happened is the Rangers became a story because they transformed themselves in the second half of the season, and so we knew what the Canes could do. We saw them reach the conference finals last year. Totally. So nobody was paying attention to them. The Canes are the Canes. We know what they can do. But the real story was, hey, the Rangers announced they were going to rebuild a couple of years ago. Now all of a sudden they look terrific. Yeah. And I think we just sort of forgot, because you're absolutely right. Like always in the tendency of sports, we want to see it from the perspective of the team we're watching. You're in New York. You're a former Ranger. You look at it from the Rangers. So it's easy to say, well, my team didn't play well. When the reason they didn't play well is because the Canes were terrific.
Totally. So. Yeah. And players like, Adam Fox, who finished so strong before the pause, he was off his game. He didn't have a good
game. Yeah, he looked tentative to me. Yeah. He didn't look the same.
D'Angelo wasn't as good, all those guys. But you know what? Like, it's one game, first game back. Like, I know after a long layoff, and you come back and you get in your first, like, real big-time game where it's a physical game, you're running on adrenaline sometimes. You're not thinking clearly. You make some mistakes, and they did that. Like, even the first goal there, Foss clearly was out of it after the big hit. He didn't pick up the defenseman that came in to score that goal. Then he left the rink right after that, and probably doesn't look like he's going to play today either. But yeah, you're right. Listen, the Rangers didn't play as well. You go through the whole lineup, but the Canes, man, they played hard. Like, their forecheck coming down the board is keeping the puck in. That's one thing the Rangers are really going to have to work on today, is getting out of their own zone. So it'll be interesting.
Well, yeah, but you say it's only one game, but in a 5-game series, you can't say that.
Well, you can. You're right. I hear you, but you can in terms of saying how poorly you played, right? Like you don't overreact to how poorly played. Nor, I mean, like, I look at the Chicago-Edmonton series, and Chicago was just dominant. They let Edmonton back in the game a little bit there, but again, Chicago can't say to themselves, like, Chicago has to on the other end say that's only one game, right? I mean, they haven't won the series because they had one good game. They've got to come back with a second good game now. So,
well, they do. Although I saw a lot for the Oilers to be optimistic about, because what you're going to say to yourself is the Blackhawks aren't going to score that many goals every game. Number one,
you think Kublik's going to get 5 more points,
and they didn't play. The Oilers didn't play very well, and they still got 4 goals. Yeah. So there is. I see the Oilers still okay.
Connor McDavid was really a disappointment to me. I guess I haven't seen him play all that much. It's more like highlights all the time, but I just thought, like, he was kind of non-competitive. And again, maybe it's just one game again, but I was really surprised how little he competed. I mean, when he had open ice and they scored the power play goal there to start, but I just didn't think he competed too hard, nor did Draisaitl. I thought that, like, especially with Taves, like, and it's funny, I didn't think Kane was that great for Chicago either. It was Kubalik, obviously, and Taves. That's one of the best games I've seen Taves play in the last few years, really. Same with Duncan Keith. He was good too.
Well, it's interesting about Duncan Keith, because it was almost like, hey, look, we got the spotlight again. Everybody's watching every game. Yeah. Maybe I'll show that I'm, he's got the long hair going now, know. And to me, that was, like, you're making a statement there. So
totally, exactly right. I thought that was a real statement. The way I don't care how many points he got. Just watching him play, like, he was that dominant Duncan Keith again. Like, the way he moved the puck and passed it on power play and everything. He was that really decisive Duncan Keith, that confident guy that from years ago. Because I thought his career was kind of like, okay, that's really the end. He's just going to kind of wind it down and be, a fraction of the player that he was in the past. But he didn't play like that.
Yeah, and you're right about Taves. We haven't had as many big games from him where he was the Taves of old. The one thing another player that I noticed, you understand that his value is Brandon Saad.
Yeah.
Like you'd watch the games and there'd be like really good plays, and he was always involved in them.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
he either he was the guy that picked up his man or had set a pick, or he was always in the middle of it. So
Yeah.
I thought it was impressive performance by them. And Crawford was good too.
Yeah. And I didn't realize he hadn't even practiced hardly with the team.
No.
Right? Yeah.
No, well, some of the players were saying afterward, though, that's who he is.
Yeah.
Like you said, if there's one guy who could not play for 4 months and then just come back in and pick up where he left off, it's Crawford.
Wow. He looked really confident too. And I'd heard that at the start of the game, and I thought, oh, geez, he lets a bad one in, he's going to be in trouble. But he was solid, really good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's been some just terrific hockey, and none of these games have gone the way that everybody thought they would. I mean, obviously the Penguins now. This is their worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Because when that was announced, the Pittsburgh fans were so upset that there had been their reward for being the highest seeded team of those who had to play the qualifier was to get Carey Price. But then people were saying, "Oh, come on, Carey Price is he's not Superman." Well, maybe he was in that game. I mean, like he was certainly important to.
Yes. Well, it's a psychological thing too. When you're playing against a goalie like that you like, not only do you think maybe he could do it, but he has done it in the past, and that's like steal games sometimes. And it's short, it's in a short series like this. Now you're thinking to yourself, this guy's got in my head. Like I can't miss the net here. I've got to make sure if I get a chance, I got to get on net. And now you're not playing that natural game that a lot of the goal scorers are. But the other goal that's like that too is that Carter Hart in Philly. Oh man, he played exactly like Carey Price. Calm man,
21 years old.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, man.
Yeah. No, my message, in my writing coming into this playoffs was beware of the Philadelphia Flyers. They were not a hot team.
Yeah.
They're a quality team.
Yeah.
And you look at the ingredients they have. They've got enough scoring up front. Yep. They've got a really unheralded defense. Like I don't think people talk about it, but Ivan Provorov is as competitive as any defenseman you're going to find.
Yep.
And he can do it all. Yep. Like he can play offensively. He can play hard. He can stop you defensively. So I like this Flyers team, and if you're looking at 5 teams that could win, I would put them among them.
And the 2 most surprising teams to me, and they should not have been surprising to me, are the Canes and the Flyers. Like I underestimated it. It's purely me just not giving them enough credit because man, they played good hockey. Like, and we talked before. Remember we talked before? Okay, who's going to have the advantage? More the skilled teams or the defensive teams?
Yeah.
Real structured games.
We were totally wrong.
Totally wrong. The defensive teams, man, they like Philly, Canes, both those teams. Chicago played well that way. Really tenacious hockey. It was wrong again. Were you wrong on that, or was that me?
We were both wrong.
Oh, okay. All right.
The defensive teams, the Barry Trotz team played just like he wanted them to play. The Tortorella team played strong defensively, hard to play against. All the concern about cohesiveness and all that stuff, it was really misplaced. My dogs are going wild here. They're ready for hockey here.
We'll play the playoff hockey. Yeah, Rangers.
They're playing. They're thinking this first game of the day between Carolina and Rangers is going to be rough, so they're getting ready for it.
Are they getting physical there? Are they going at it?
Yeah, they are. They're wrestling right next to me. So I got a pit bull and a pointer, and they that's what they like to do. They usually schedule their wrestling matches right when I get on a podcast.
Nice, that's good.
Yeah, because they know then I can't break it up. So and it's always fun until somebody grabs the far leg and
there's some yelping.
Oh yeah, there's yelping. They're puppies, so they don't know the tough. Rub some dirt in it and tough it up.
How about playoff hockey we've got going on between the Winnipeg Jets and the Calgary Flames right off the bat?
Well, that's one subject I want to talk about is, and that's what I wrote about yesterday was Matthew Tkachuk, son of Keith Tkachuk, brother of Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah.
I love the Tkachuk family. I love how the Tkachuks played, but of all the Tkachuks, I would say that Matthew gets himself in more trouble than Keith ever did. Now,
probably true. Yeah.
Yeah, and I looked at that. I've looked at it every which way to Sunday, and I don't see him stomping on him. Do you see that?
He's not stomping on him. No way.
Yeah.
I first of all, and all the time I've been in hockey, since I can't ever remember. I mean, remember somebody maybe kick somebody. There's a pile up, and they kind of kick somebody off. But I've never seen a player intentionally stomp on another player, like in that area where you would, slice the tendon or something like that. Like he gave the way even the way he acted after everything. He explained how he works out. Like Gary Roberts, the former player, has his training facility in Toronto, and the Tkachuks and they all work out together there, so they all know each other. And the way he went to him when he was getting helped off the ice, and he said, you could tell he was saying sorry. And I wouldn't be surprised if he either called him or texted him to say the same thing again. There's just no way to me that he did that intentionally. It was if anything, you can't blame the player that got hurt. Shifley was trying to get away from getting hit. The one thing is he knew, and this is to Tkachuk's credit, he's built the reputation that he's going to finish his checks. So So Shifley knew that he's going into the boards and Tkachuk was coming. And that's probably what caused his own injury more than anything else. He probably hurt himself. So no, there's no way he did that on purpose. And what I like about Tkachuk too, he was challenged later on, and then he comes out, he drops the gloves, and he's all right. Let's get him on.
Yeah. Well, I thought Jeff Ward, the interim Calgary coach, he spelled it all out.
Yeah.
He said, "Look, let's not forget that Matthew Tkachuk's an elite level player.
Yep.
We tend to. This is not a guy that all he can do is check.
Yep.
He's an elite player.
Yeah.
And he goes, and Shifley's an elite player.
Yeah.
And when I see him going after Shifley, what do I know? I know he's going to finish his check.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, now, he goes, I also know how he was raised. And I agree with that. I know how he was raised too, because I know Keith Tkachuk really well. He said, and was not raised to be a dirty player. He's raised to be a hard player.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a big distinction too. I love that you said that, because I heard people calling him a dirty player, and he's not. He's a hard player.
Yeah, he's just a very hard player. And Keith was hard, know. But here's the thing. People want to complain about these all the time. And I saw everybody had a lot of people saying, well, if he keeps getting involved in this, and there's maybe some truth to this.
Yeah.
If after a while, if you get, he's in it with Doughty, he's in it with Cassian, he's in it with this guy. After a while, it gets a little old. So at some point, you got to sort of find a way to sort of extract yourself from that.
Now, you know what, though? I'm going to take you to task on that one. It doesn't get old to me. If I'm on his team, keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, well, man, the point I made into my column is that there's no way that the Calgary Flames want him to play any differently than he is now.
Yeah.
And if the league wanted Matthew Tkachuk to play differently, he'd have gotten a call from the Department of Player Safety, and he did not. He wasn't even penalized on the play.
Yeah.
We worship those guys.
Right.
And even if we don't want them to play like that,
even with the teammates, when he got called out to now go fight, he didn't do it like sheepishly, like, okay, I'll go do it. He went after the guy, right, and knocked him down. As a teammate, I'm sitting there like, I'm backing that guy. Like, and what he does too is, like, sometimes Calgary's got a little bit of a soft team, but when he goes out there and does that stuff, it's like he drags all the other players into the fight. They forces them to now get physically involved in the game. You can't, if he's going to play like that in a playoff team, and Winnipeg's a pretty big team, got some physical players. He makes everybody else now get into the game more. So now I love it. He should never stop. I mean, I'm sure he's going to get older, maybe not play exactly the same way, but he's fantastic. What I did love, and it was almost a little bit too obvious to me. I think you and I feel the same way about Paul Maurice, the coach of the Winnipeg Jets, but he went way overboard in his assessment of that, saying how dirty of a hit it was and nasty and all that kinds of stuff. And I understand what he's doing. I mean, and maybe he didn't. Maybe now he sees the replays, although I have seen the quotes after, and he's not backing away from the statements. But to me, that's playoff coaching 101, right? He's saying his team lost the game.
Suspend him. That's what he wants.
Suspend him. So, okay, so now he's doing a few things. Now Tkachuk and the Calgary Flames are thinking, okay, they're going to be coming after us now in the next game. So they're thinking more about that than they are about how they got to play the game. Now they're saying to his team, guys, let's get fired up. But I would guarantee you, he's going to be saying to his team privately in the locker room, okay, guys, we need to play under control here. Let's go after Tkachuk, but we can't take penalties. We've got to be smart. So he's playing mind games, and he's done it before too. And I don't blame him. He's smart. His team lost. It's a short series. They've got to get back in the series here now. So he's doing whatever he can as a coach to now get his team in the right frame of mind, maybe possibly get Calgary off their game a little bit. But I don't think it's going to work. Frankly, I just don't think there's anything there to that. I think even his own players are going to look at it and go, Coach, that wasn't a dirty hit. Right. So,
yeah. Although Adam Lowry said it was. So.
Yeah. But he's got to do that, right? I mean, the players now can't come out and go against the coach. The coach is trying to set some tempo or something going on here. So I think they've got to follow suit. But
what happened to your Canucks? That was a physical game too.
Yeah, I know, man. They didn't show up either. I don't know. Maybe it's the young players or whatever. Yeah. But you got to give Minnesota credit in that too. They came out and played physical against those talented forwards for Vancouver. So
did you like Dumba's
Yeah, you know what? I liked it. Listen, I'm not big. I understand why they're doing it. I'm not big for kneeling during the national anthem. You know my stance on the military and everything. I don't think those guys are doing it to be disrespectful to the flag or the military. I just think I wish he had not have kneeled. Then he held his fist up during both national anthems in his game. So everybody that didn't see it, Matt Dumba plays for the Minnesota Wild. Before the Chicago-Edmonton game, he made a very powerful speech, and he was in the street clothes. Obviously, he wasn't playing, and then knelt. And then who was it? Darnell Nurse and Subban put their hand on his shoulders. And so he knelt during the American national anthem, right? And then stood up for the Canadians.
Stood up, yeah. I didn't understand that, but it certainly was a memorable. Pre-game. I noted that the league has been criticized on social media simply because, they had Dumba sort of, carry the load for them. Like, it wasn't the league Black Lives Matter. It was almost like, he had to do it. But I thought that was as well done as you can by an individual player. And it's so hard because, many like you see the flag as a symbol of the military where, I don't think the people who are kneeling, are giving it one thought to it being an anti-military message. It's, so it's very complicated and emotions are so high on both sides. It's even difficult to talk about, but, all of getting back to where we started this conversation, the league has given a lot of thought, like the presentations of the games. They've worked hard at that too. Yeah. And, if people weren't pleased by it, it wasn't from a lack of effort. Like, I think the league gave that a lot of thought.
One of the funniest, how they always announce the attendance when they put it up on the big screen. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter and everything. They announced the attendance of the games. They had a big 0 up there. That's pretty funny, really.
Yeah, that is. Well, like we've talked before, like if they really have a sense of humor when they award the Stanley Cup, they're going to pipe in booze.
Oh, God, if they do that, that would be classic.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
We've talked about it before. It'd be great if Gary Bettman himself said that, guys, we need to do this. As long as he's going to say it, especially, I think.
Well, he's the type of guy that might. Like, we've all been at the draft when he urges people on, oh, come on, you can do better than that.
Yeah, that's good. No, he's good.
And I think people sort of respect that about him, that he gets it, that's just part and parcel in all commissioners. But anyway, going back to Dumba, I give him a lot of credit. He obviously believes strongly in this, and if he was willing to come out and speak like that, and boy, that's not easy.
Yeah, totally.
Public speaking, it doesn't matter. There's no people in the stands.
Yeah,
you're there by.
Yeah, and especially hockey players are so used to talking about hockey all the time. Right now, he's getting out of his comfort zone, talking about something else that's not hockey, knowing that maybe some people don't agree with you and all that. So yeah, I give him a lot of credit, courage, and he handled himself really well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was all good.
Before we get going too far, we have to give an award out. The dog of the night has to go to the Nashville Predators. That team, I'm telling you, they like that. Matt Duchene, Johansson, the two really talented players, but man, like the bad penalties, the selfishness. Like Johansson early in the game, I kind of got a face wash a little bit. The referee was right there, wasn't going to call it. Gets up right in the middle of the play's going the other way, and cross checks the guy in the back right in front of the referee. The referee actually, I thought, made a bad call because he had not called a penalty against the opposition. But ultimately called both of them, and that Johansson got away. But just like Duchene, like selfish play, I just like, and I look at those two players and I go, guys. I mean, it seems like the the locker room is there. They're not there. They're not pulling together. They're not pulling on the same rope. But yeah.
Well, before we go, and we got to go quick because we've eaten up our 30 minutes as we do so quickly. But
you're talking a lot. It's all your fault, Kev. You're talking a lot lately.
I know. Yeah, I know. We can't do the opening show without talking about the Maple Leafs. Like, the right before, like I had been saying Columbus, 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 Columbus. And then 2 days ago I said, the Maple Leafs got, they've got Matthews and Tavares and Marner and Nylander and Kapanen, and boy, they can wheel the puck, and Columbus doesn't really have anybody like that. And at some point, doesn't offense have to be defense?
Yeah.
The answer is no. Offense doesn't have to be defense.
Well, Anderson in goal for Toronto, which I thought was going to be weakness. He played a good game too, so it wasn't his fault that they lost. Yeah.
Yeah. That goal, the one goal though.
Yeah.
But you can't blame him, because all you're asking the Maple Leafs to do, I mean, this highly skilled team, is get 2 goals.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
You can't get 2 goals. You're top elite NHL players.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So anyway, it was such a disappointing. I mean, it was a quality game.
Yeah.
But it was just so disappointing to see, a great offensive team stymied. But again, you got to give credit to how hard the Blue Jackets played. It was all Tortorella.
Yeah.
Tortorella's impact, and as a reporter, it's so hard that he won't play the game. Like, they ask him, like, what are you going to say to your players going into the game? It's none of your business, he says.
Like Quinn here for the Rangers Quinn didn't get as rude as that here with the Rangers, so he had some short answers after the game on Saturday too. It was funny.
But I mean, some coaches just act like that their job is curing cancer, like it's so serious.
Yeah, totally.
And he's one of those guys. But saying all that, how much I respect the job he does, and I can tell you, starting with Seth Jones, but there are many others too, who really enjoy the John Tortorella experience.
Totally.
They do. They like playing for him.
Yeah.
He's hard, but it's kind of like there are guys who have real hard fathers who are hard on them too. And
there's no guesswork with him too, right? Some coaches play these mind games. I mean, there's no mind games with John Tortorella. He tells you exactly the way it is. So I'd love to play for him.
Yeah. But I hope that series isn't over. I mean, I hope that the Maple Leafs regroup. But I'll tell you, as I alluded to it before, but you go down 0-2, you might as well make your travel reservations, because now we haven't had many 5-game series in a while. But when we used to play them, you didn't come back from 0-2.
Well, even the numbers are, when the team wins the first game of a series, they win that 5-game series. They win that 5-game series 82% of the time. So just that first win,
82% of the time.
Yeah.
So you have less than 1 in 5 chance.
I know.
Of winning. So anyway, it's me and you now. What are you cooking today? Besides sweet potatoes.
Yeah, we'll have sweet potatoes and salmon probably for that's right too. We got the game starting at 12 o'clock, so I've either got to eat before the game starts or wait till between periods. But that's going to be the big decision today. With the timing of that meal. I wish they would start the games like at 12:30 or something like that, or 1 o'clock. Be a lot better for me, but we'll work it out.
Yeah, because all you've probably had is a ginger shot and avocado toast, right?
No, we've stayed away from the toast. I actually have been trying to get my my carbs into me early in the day, so I had my chickpea pasta this morning. So we had the ginger shot, the apple cider vinegar, the turmeric, and then before the show started here, we had our avocado, banana, and protein shake before that all started. So we got with the blood, it's just pumping. All that good stuff is pumping through the veins.
Avocado and banana together?
Yes. So we put the half of an avocado into the freezer. Same thing with the banana with the skin on goes into the freezer. So we chop those up. They're frozen. They go in with the coconut milk and protein powder. And remember, the banana with the skin on, there's 30% more nutrients when you leave the skin on. Chop it up in the blender. You don't even know it's there.
That still does not inspire me to leave the skin on the banana. But,
oh, tasty. You don't even notice it. Honestly, you just
well, I'm sure if you put it in a smoothie, for sure.
I feel like 30% better now because of the skin.
In honor of the Tom Laidlaw's True Grit lifestyle, actually it's not, but we'll say it is. My granddaughter, Hudson Brown Demick, or as I like to call her, downtown Hudson Brown Demick. Yeah. She'll start eating solid foods next week. And I asked my daughter, what is she going to start out with? A little cereal? And she goes, no, an avocado.
Nice.
Tom Laidlaw will
Yes.
approve of that.
Yes, excellent.
So Hudson Brown Demick, my granddaughter, will start next week with a little avocado and begin her path down a true grit lifestyle.
Oh God. Okay, we're gonna have to get some pictures of her. Get them on the website. So.
Oh, all right. I'll do that. I'll make sure she gets her first, because it'll be one of those.
No, she'll love it. She'll love that. No, she'll know the nutrients that are going inside her body. That's why.
My grandson, her brother, his first solid food was also an avocado, and he did love it. Archer Demick.
That's excellent. I like that.
He either sounds like he's going to be a private detective or the quarterback for the Stanford football team.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Avocados, that healthiness just flowing through the veins. Oh,
yeah,
man.
you got to love that. All right, you've been listening to the Laidlaw and Allen Report. Watch hockey today. We're going to come back Wednesday. We're going to break it down like we did today, and we appreciate you watching and listening. Thanks for joining.
Rangers are winning today. Rangers are winning. See you guys Wednesday.